Hello everyone, we haven't talked in a while, but I've recently come back from London where I bought loads of books. I always promise myself I won't buy as many books, and I always leave with the kind of feeling that I haven't. Then when I get home, I realize that I did buy loads of books, but to my defense, most of them were skinny books. They were quite lightweight compared to some of the stuff that I have brought back home in the past. And I am happy to say that I have stayed below my maximum weight limit in my luggage. So, yay. So let's get to it. Most of the books that I purchased are related to drama in some kind of way. And I'm also showing you this time the programs for the plays that I watched. Maybe we can start off with that. I saw loads of plays, and I guess the reason I like to go back to London so often, I mean, besides the academic stuff and the cafes and loving the city, is theatre. And not only the West End, but the subsidized sector as well. And there's so much excitement around new plays in London, and so many brilliant playwrights and companies. And there's always something that completely changes my point of view or inspires me in some way. The performers, the play text, everything. So I'm going to show you the programs. I think this was the trip where I actually watched the highest number of plays in the tiniest of time spans. But yeah, let's get to it. So I think I have them all here. So I'm showing you the programs before I actually move towards, the books. Because I thought of recording 2 different videos. But yeah, I think we can get through this with only one. So yeah, let me try not to ruin everything. But yeah, okay. So the first play I watched, and I watched this one twice, was Much Ado About Nothing. If you follow London theatre at all, you're probably aware of the fact that Tom Hiddleston and Hayley Atwell are starring in this Jamie Lloyd Company production of Much Ado. I watched their production of Romeo and Juliet last year. They've also produced, also at Drury Lane Theatre, The Tempest with Sigourney Weaver earlier this year. And I thought this worked really well. I wasn't the biggest fan of their take on Romeo and Juliet with Tom Holland last year. But this one was so fun, and I think maybe comedies are more up Jamie Lloyd Company's alley. Their kind of irreverent takes on Shakespeare are quite exciting, and this kind of Marvel Shakespeare take that they bring into it. And I think it's quite, irreverent, and that can be great because there are so many attempts at modernizing Shakespeare, and you don't always manage, I think, to grasp what they're going for as an audience member. But here it was very clear. They had like this 70s dance disco party kind of vibe to it. It was quite fun. Obviously, with this kind of play and with this kind of cast, it does attract an audience that is not usually that acquainted maybe with theatre etiquette, which is also a good thing. I think it's great that young people are going to the theatre, even if it's just to see their favorite celebrity. They might end up falling in love with theatre. But yeah, on the second performance, this young lady, she wasn't that young. I think she was like late 20s, thereabouts, and she kept talking to her friends throughout the entire thing, and she would like just take her phone out and film entire scenes. It was very distracting, and a steward came up to her and asked her to stop in the interval. And then after the interval, she was still talking to her friends, and someone in the front row turned towards her and was like, "Come on, man." And then she shut up. But yeah, that's a bit of a bother, but it happens a lot. especially like not just in plays that have celebrities in them, but also like at the Globe Theatre, because sometimes tourists in London feel that they are like obliged to, I don't know, enjoy the whole experience, and they're not necessarily that interested in the plays themselves, so they just eat and talk and, I mean, not be bothered about the play at all. And obviously, if you're there for the play, that can be a bit annoying. But anyway, second night was Richard II at the Bridge Theatre. I hadn't been to the Bridge Theatre since 2019, and I had been there to see A German Life, which was this monologue starring Dame Maggie Smith. So she hadn't been in a play in like 10 years or so. And obviously we know that she didn't really go back to the London stage after that. So it was such an honor. And I was in the second row, and I always remember that. And I thought about that a lot, while I was at the Bridge to see, Richard II starring Jonathan Bailey. It was, I think, one of the first performances. I think it was still like previews or something. Anyway, it was really, really great. I came out of there mildly obsessed with Richard II, which obviously is not, I mean, I've read all of Shakespeare's plays. I had this moment in my teenage years when I was completely obsessed with Shakespeare, and I read everything, but I haven't read Richard II in ages. So I got this, and maybe I can show the plays that I watched and the books, the play texts that I bought, or playscripts, whatever. This is a critical edition of Richard II. I love the art in Shakespeare. Maybe one day I can show you my drama bookshelves, and I'm in the process of rearranging everything. I changed everything the day I came back. The organization of my bookshelves, to make more room for my drama books. But yeah, art in Shakespeare is probably my favorite. Alongside Cambridge Shakespeare, Oxford Shakespeare, there are so many great critical editions, but art in Shakespeare is probably number one for me. And I keep like hitting the mic. Let me fix this because the audio is going to get so shit. Let's try this. So it was a great cast. And I particularly liked, where is he? Yeah, here he is. Royce Pearson was Bolingbroke. It was really, really good. An amazing cast, an amazing company. And I really enjoyed this. I would have liked to see it again. Maybe some other time if it ever, I don't know, transfer somewhere. Great. And I'm a big fan of Jonathan Bailey. Even before obviously his breakthrough was through Bridgerton, but he was in so many shows that I loved. I mean, he did guest appearances on like Doctor Who, and he had a role on Broadchurch. Great actor all around, and he deserves all the success that he's getting now. So, as I said, the following day I watched Much Ado again. Maybe I'll do this out of order because I can't remember the exact order or anything. But I think the following play is Streetcar Named Desire. I was very excited to watch this the first time it premiered at the Almeida Theatre. The Almeida Theatre is probably one of my favorite theatres in London. I always try to make a point of going there, even if I don't know what the play is about or whatever it is. I just love the Almeida Theatre. The same way that I love the Dolma Warehouse and the Royal Court. So, but I couldn't go because of work and life, and I couldn't see it the first time. So when I heard that they were transferring to the West End, right, this was at the Noel Coward Theatre, I had to go. So I got 2 tickets, one for the evening performance, the other was a matinee. And Paul Mescal obviously is the big star of the cast, but I was quite impressed by everybody's performances. The actor that played Mitch was fantastic. I'm going to write down his name later, but or obviously I can find it here. The actor that played Mitch was fantastic, but especially Patsy Farron, right, who plays Blanche. What was that about? She was so good. I love this play, obviously. If you like theater, you probably like Tennessee Williams. But her Blanche was like heartbreaking. I left the theater in tears after both performances. So yeah, if you have a chance to see it at all, please do. But yeah, Patsy Farron is also playing. I think you can see it, probably. She's also playing Jane Austen in Miss Austen, the adaptation of Jill Hornby's book that's on iPlayer right now. And she was amazing in that as well. Dwayne Walcott, yeah, the actor who played Mitch. So yeah, it was a great experience, definitely. And I saw this on Valentine's Day. It was quite funny because there were a lot of people like their romantic vibes. Not exactly a romantic vibes play, but still an amazing performance all around. And this was directed by Rebecca Fracknell. And I think she also directed Daisy Edgar Jones recently, writing Cat and Haunting Ruth. But yeah, okay. Next. But there we go. Okay, and I bought a new, let me show you this. I bought a new edition of Tennessee Williams's, A Streetcar Named Desire, because I had an older one, but this one has Marlon Brando in the cover, and I love this film, and I know all the stuff about Marlon Brando, but such an amazing performance, and I just had to have it. So yeah, this is the Penguin Modern Classics edition. I saw this play on a matinee at the National Theatre. This is called Ballet Shoes. It's an adaptation of a book. I haven't read the book, and I went to see this completely in the dark. I didn't know what it was about, but I ended up having an amazing time. I got tickets at like the 11th hour, but they were front row tickets, and yeah, the stage wasn't too high or anything. And amazing cast, and I was quite impressed by like the rhythm and just the stagecraft. Everything was so carefully arranged. And I wanted to mention the fact that Pearl Mackie is in this, and I'm a big fan of hers ever since she played Bill on Doctor Who. So yeah, I'm interested on the book now. Haven't read it, but I think I did buy the play. Yeah, the play script. Here it is. Good one, right? So yeah, I try to buy the script for every play that I watch, even if I don't love it. It's just something that I like to do. So yeah, I guess I didn't buy that many books outside of that, outside of the plays that I was watching. So then I saw this one. This one was, I was extremely excited about this because this is Indira Varma, who is one of my favorite actors all around, and Rami Malek, right? Who's also, he's in his London stage debut in this, and this is a new version of Oedipus by Ella Hickson, and I'm a big fan of Ella Hickson. If you saw the video that I recorded after my trip to London in last July, you see that I bought a collection of her plays, and this is an adaptation of Sophocles' Oedipus. And from the moment they announced this, I was very excited, and this was actually a very fresh take on Oedipus. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I think I will review this at some point on my website, on my blog, but I loved this, and I love everything that Indira Varma does, but Rami Malek was outstanding as well. The child actor who's in the cast was also amazing. Everybody deserves, the actor who played Tiresias. Anyway, there's a big change in the ending of the play, which I applaud Ella Hickson for. So, since we are talking about modern versions of classical literature, classical plays, let's talk about Electra. So this was at the Duke of York, which is one of my favorite West End theatres. And this was Brie Larson's, I think, London debut. I'm not sure if this is her stage debut. I think probably her UK debut, right? But they used Anne Carson's translation of Electra, but this is a completely different take, a kind of punk rock take on Electra. And some of the things really, I like it when people are bold, when artists are bold, and they really relate to the text they are engaging with without too much reverence. You can be respectful of it without being reverent, which creates distance, in my opinion. And I think they take a lot of risks with this staging of the play. Some of the things did not work that much for me. Some of them did, but an amazing cast. And Brie Larson was such a steady presence throughout because she's on stage almost during the entire thing. And yeah, this was really, really good. And I was not a big fan of lessons in chemistry, and there were these two guys behind me. Whenever you go to the theater, there are a lot of like middle class people who don't necessarily go to the theater that much. A lot of occasional visitors that see it more as an outing than necessarily a huge engagement with the play itself. They were like, "Where do I know her from? What was the name of that show?" And they were like saying a bunch of random names, and then one of them probably looked it up on his phone and he's like, "Yes, lessons in chemistry, that was brilliant." I hated that. It's not her fault that I hated it. It wasn't her that I hated, but I absolutely hated it. I probably would have hated the book as well because it was the plot that kind of upset me and like just the way the characters are built. But whatever. Moving on, this is not about that necessarily. So I saw 3 Shakespeare plays, right? Much Ado About Nothing, and then I saw Richard II, so a comedy, a history play, and then Cymbeline. So Cymbeline is an interesting one, right? I didn't buy a play text for this one. I have it in an Art and Shakespeare edition. But this took place at the Globe, but actually at their candlelit theater, right? Not the big round one where they do their summer plays. Was the Sam Wanamaker Theater. I hadn't been there before. Like I said, I'm a bit tired of the Globe experience. I think sometimes they do very interesting things with the plays. I don't always love it, but some of them are really good. But as I said, I think the experience is kind of exhausting because it's quite uncomfortable. And I get it that they want to recreate the experience that people had going to theaters in Shakespeare's time. But it's very tiring. And if you buy seats, the tickets are not that cheap. And you still end up with people like munching on food by your side. And I don't know what is up with that. People feeling the urge to eat throughout in performances. You get that in like regular theaters as well. People eating noisy food right throughout the play, like, and then you get this thing where there's someone sitting by your side and they're like eating crisps or I don't know, and they're like putting their hands into the package very slowly, as though like if the noise comes out very slowly with intervals, it won't bother you. Anyway, but I also saw, maybe let's skip to that, the importance of being earnest. It wasn't, I mean, the run has been over for a while, but they're doing National Theatre Live, so I saw it on a movie theatre. And I have seen plays like that before, and it has been great, always. But this time I went to the Camden Curzon, and that wasn't very great. I've seen films there. I'd seen Bridget Jones a few days earlier, and it had been fine. But if you look at the reviews for that movie theater, you'll see that there are a lot of people complaining that there will be people who work at Curzon coming into the room throughout the entire film to like deliver food. And why do people order food? And this happened 3 times. These 2 ladies ordered food and someone delivered them hot food 3 times, and they were in my row, so they would go in front of me and then they would say something, oh, is this yours? Is this... I mean, this is very distracting, a horrible experience overall. So for these like premieres and like high demand films, I guess I'm not going there anymore. I needed to go on Sunday, so that's why I chose that particular movie theater in a certain time, because I had an event in the evening. But such a horrible experience. But this was so great. I knew this would be great. I mean, this is Ncuti Gatwa of Sex Education and Doctor Who fame, playing Algernon, right? And I mean, this is probably Oscar Wilde's best play. I love it, and I always teach it to my students in Victorian literature. Yeah, I loved it, and it will probably enter the kind of the catalog, right, for National Theatre at home. So at some point, so check that out. So Cymbeline, going back to Cymbeline, this is very interesting. In this version, Cymbeline is not a king, she's a queen, and a lot of the characters have the opposite, and some of the characters have the opposite gender that they have in Shakespeare's play. And I think it kind of works. It was quite fun. I enjoyed this. And the audience was a little better, I think, than the usual Globe experience. But there were people with children, very young children, and they kept explaining what was going on stage to their kids. And it's like, I'm all for it. Take children to the theater, help them fall in love with it. But, I mean, come on, man. It's not, I mean, if they can't follow what's going on, don't make it someone else's problem, you know? Anyway. Okay, so this is The Years. It's a theater adaptation of, where is it? Of Annie Ernaux novel, right? Can we call it a novel or a memoir? Anyway, she's such an amazing... I read it in French. I still struggle with my French a little bit sometimes, but I read it in French and it really was amazing. And this is a difficult, maybe not like the most intuitive of texts to adapt to a stage, to a play. But it really, really works. All of them play the same character in different, times of her life. And it was great. So, yeah, they all did it brilliantly. And it was a challenging performance, right? So Romola Garai is leaving the cast in a few weeks. I was happy to see her. She's being replaced by Tuppence Middleton, who is also a great actor. I saw her in, what was the name of that play? Jack Thorne. Oh God, I can't remember it. I'll write it down later. But I've seen her in plays before, but I'm a big fan of Romola, and I was happy to see like the original cast. So this was at the Harold Pinter. I really liked this theater. We had some issues throughout the performance, and I'm going to mention that because just as an opportunity to compliment the cast, because first, this lady fainted in the audience and they had to help her out of the stalls, and they had to stop the play in a very tense, very emotionally charged scene. And Romola just picked up where she left off, which was quite impressive. And then they had some problem with the speakers and they had to stop the performance again. So, they can't be very helpful for the performers, but they did a stellar job. And I would like to see it again if I had the chance. I probably won't, because this is already a transfer, isn't it? But anyway, and this is the script. So as I said, most of the books that I bought were related to the plays I was watching. So this one was probably one of my favorites, if not the favorite. I told you that I felt very emotional. So program, play, script. I was left very emotional after A Streetcar Named Desire. This is a new play by Chris Bush, who is one of my favorite playwrights right now. And so this is about Joe and Harry. They are married, they love each other, and Harry has always told Joe that he, at this point, thinks he might be actually a woman. But he, at the point where they start dating, he doesn't feel that he will do anything about that right now. But years pass, and Harry realizes it's the time to begin her transition. And the relationship kind of falls apart. And this is such a, the kind of sensibility that you find in this text, because neither is wrong here. It's a very complicated situation, and Jo goes on her own journey, and we follow her through that, and we follow Harry through hers. And, things from family to, going through TSA at the airport, and just the challenges of acceptance. Such an amazing play and such an amazing cast. This was at the Almeida, as I said. And I really want to read it again. I haven't read it, but I want to read it and revisit the text like that. I'm a big fan of Chris Bush. So if you're in London and you have a chance to see it, please do. Okay, so we have a few plays still. This was Backstroke. It was completely sold out when I first heard of it, but they released a few late tickets and I managed to go, which I'm very thankful for. I saw this on February 18, which is a day I will never forget, because it was a day where I received terrible news and I had cried for the best part of an afternoon. And I came in to see this play that was about motherhood, that was about grief, that was about loss, that was about difficult relationships. And, the cast, I'm going to read you the cast, right? Tamsin Greig plays Beau. Celia Imrie plays Beth. Lucy Bryars plays Caro. Anita Reynolds plays Jill. Georgina Rich plays Paulina. Skylar is played by Chloe Hart and Tammy Laurie Lawson, this is a child, right? Character. And Rashan Stone plays Ted. But we are mostly left with Tamsin Greig and Celia Imrie's characters. They are mother and daughter, right? Well, daughter and mother, right? Tamsin Greig's Celia's daughter. And we go through this process where the mother has suffered a stroke. This is her second stroke. And the daughter is revisiting their whole lives together, the good moments, the horrible moments where her mother was narcissistic, the moments where her mother was amazing, and they have this very complicated relationship. But the fact that it is complicated does not erase the fact that it's so full of love, And it was very touching, and they felt completely emotional, because I was already very emotional, but also because it's such an amazing play, right? This is by Anna Macmin, and I hadn't seen anything by her on stage before, but I would definitely like to. And I'm a big fan of Tamsin Greig. I really love seeing actors that are actual, actors, proper actors, stage actors doing their thing, which leads me to my next one, which is the score. So, playscript, program. I had been wanting to see Brian Cox on stage for a while already. He played Long Day's Journey into the Night last year, and I missed it because of work, obviously. But now the stars aligned, and I managed to actually see it. So this is about Sebastian Bach's visit to the court of Frederick II, right? The King of Prussia, in the middle of this kind of campaign of expansion and annexation. And I didn't know what to expect from this play, honestly. So this is a new play by Oliver Cotton, so I didn't know what to expect. And I left it so interested in Bach and so interested in this particular episode of like history. And Brian Cox is amazing, isn't he? Everybody talks about him now in terms of his performance in Succession, which is fine. You know, he was amazing there. But he's such an amazing stage actor. He has done so much already, like from Shakespeare to new plays. So I'm going to read you like the summary so that you are left as interested as I was. And just everything was so well done. Like just the kind of costumes and yeah. Okay. Spring 1747, Potsdam, Prussia. Johann Sebastian Bach reluctantly visits the court of Frederick II, Europe's most ambitious and dangerous leader. The two men could hardly be more different. As the Age of Enlightenment dawns, they stand in opposite camps. Bach is deeply religious, Frederick is an atheist. Bach loves war, Frederick revels in it. Bach studies scripture, Frederick reads military history. However, Frederick remains in awe of Bach's genius and has mischievously prepared a musical conundrum that he hopes will baffle the composer and amuse his court. The explosive events of the following days could not have been predicted by either man. This edition was published to coincide with the West End production in February 2025. So, such a great play. And I love how great theater can be made out of such different matter, as we've seen, right? Through just me showing you the scripts and the programs. And yeah. Okay, so this one, I also got tickets, well, one ticket for it, very last minute. Kyoto. This is a new theater. It looks a bit strange to me, I think, because I'm so used to the old theaters, and I guess it looks a bit to me like I don't know, a movie theater or like a space where they hold events and stuff. And but it was quite comfortable. It's a very large auditorium, so my ticket was like £25 because it was close to a speaker, but it didn't bother me at all, and I could see the whole stage was great. So yeah, Soho Place. It's on Charing Cross Road, almost in the corner when you turn the corner to Tottenham Court Road. You can't miss it. The Fifth Step with Martin Freeman, Jack Lowden will play there as well. And they were playing the Death of England trilogy. I had the individual plays, but I got the whole thing now. I saw this at the National a while ago, different actors, obviously. And I decided to buy the whole trilogy. But yeah, they were playing this a few months ago there. I had been curious, but I mean, the staff was amazing and the play was great. This is about the Kyoto Conference in 1997, and just how tense it was, and the agents that were involved in it beyond just the countries that were holding the discussions, the kind of interests and corporate interests that were going on. Very interesting play. This was played by the Royal Shakespeare Company. Very, very good. So I enjoyed it, was happy to see it, and to, I don't know, visit a theatre for the first time. Because I think I've been to most of London's theatres by this point. I'll have to make a list and see where I haven't been yet. But yeah, mostly been everywhere, I suppose. So where is this? I know I bought the script for this one. Yeah. So this was my last play on this visit. Unicorn by Mike Bartlett. I have seen a play by Mike Bartlett before. I think it was at the Almeida. Albion. I saw this in 2017, but he's such a great playwright. And this is presented as almost like a part to Cock, which was a play that premiered in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, with Andrew Scott, an amazing cast. And this is about a couple so they are the couple that becomes involved with a younger woman, and just how complicated it can get, and how, I don't know, conditioned we are to think about love and romantic love along certain lines. So this was an amazing cast. Nicola Walker, Erin Doherty, and Stephen Mangan. The director was James MacDonald. I really, really enjoyed this. This was at the Garrick. Great show, great performance, and I was very happy to see it. If you can, go see it too. So, we're finished with programs, if you're wondering. So let me show you. I'll show you the plays, and then I'll show you the other books. I did buy some Austen books. They are not here, so I'll pause the video very quickly and go grab them. But yeah, so this is one of those editions that are like facsimiles of the folio that the Shakespeare's Globe sells. So here, facsimile from the first folio. As I said, I'm slightly obsessed with Richard II. So I already have like Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth. I have a few of these, and I decided to buy it. It's quite cheap, I think. It's like £6-7 for a book. As far as books go, it's quite cheap. So I'll show you the other plays that I got. I mentioned a play of Jack Lowden and Martin, I think it's Martin Freeman. Is it Martin Freeman? I think so. That will premiere at Soho Place, right? So this is the play text. They'll probably make a new edition soon, but I wanted to read it. This is by David Ireland. So there you go. I have a few others here. So this is the importance of being earnest. They do use some of the cuts from the fourth act in this version. Obviously have a lot of editions of it, but how could I resist, right? Such a great cast. Betrayal by Harold Pinter, which I have seen before live with Tom Hiddleston and Zaw Ashton. And I can't remember who the other actor was, when they were doing the Pinter at the Pinter series in 2019. And I haven't read the play for a while. I also got collection of Pinter's shorter plays because, I mean, I like Pinter so much. These are the kind of books that I want to have in my bookshelf. So, yeah, such a great edition by Faber. So Betrayal is probably my favorite play of his. And okay, so I also got this play script of Frankenstein by Nick Dear. This is a version that got very famous. I mean, it's based on Mary Shelley, obviously, but this got extremely famous because during lockdown, the National put a few recordings of plays on their YouTube channel, and this was one of them. They had Johnny Lee Miller and Benedict Cumberbatch playing both Victor and the creature, right? And they alternated. Interesting. Okay, and this is Player Kings. So this is Robert Ick made this new version of like Shakespeare's Henry IV parts 1 and 2, starring Ian McKellen as Falstaff. This is so great, and I had been looking forward to buying the script for a while. So there you go. They had a tour of this, and unfortunately, Sir Ian McKellen suffered an accident. He fell off stage at one point, and he had to like stop his traveling alongside them. Yeah. these are some early, there are some first and most of them are early editions of John Osborne's plays. So maybe you've heard, if you like follow me here or on Instagram, that I'm teaching a module, an elective module this semester on kitchen sink. Not just kitchen sink drama, but just kitchen sink as a cultural movement. So the Angry Young Man, and then like their influence on punk poetry, like John Cooper Clarke, until we arrive at Alex Turner, right? Arctic Monkeys. Their first album was very much influenced by it. I would say their first couple of albums were very much influenced. And Alex Turner has talked about this with John Cooper Clarke. So all of these are plays. Let me show you this is like a collection of like new British dramatists of the late 50s, early 60s. And then we have Anger and After, which at this point is already a classic, to talk about the impact of the Angry Young Man, right? A guide to new British drama. So these are all like tools for my work, which lead us, there are a few more theater related, but I'm going to show you these first. So please don't fall. You'll fall. Okay. So, John Osborne wrote 2 memoirs. Here, Almost a Gentleman was, I think, the first. Or, no, I think it was the second, right? Better Class of Pass and Almost a Gentleman. And I got this one, and I was hoping I would find the other one. And then I found this, which includes both memoirs, right? Looking back, never explain, never apologize. So you have volume 1, A Better Class of Person, and then volume 2, Almost a Gentleman, right? So, and it's better anyway, right? That it's a paperback. Such a gorgeous cover as well. So, as I said, it's mostly theater all around. The books that I got. So if you're not interested in theater, maybe this will be a bit boring. Okay, moving on. We have some more theater. So this is from the Art and Shakespeare, Gielgud, Oliver, Ashcroft, and Dench. It's about Shakespearean performers and great Shakespeareans all around. Judi Dench has recently written a book about Shakespeare. I think it's called The Man Who Pays the Bills. It's really, really cheeky title. And they have some other editions here of other Shakespeareans, and I'm very excited to read this. And there are a few more, aren't there? All of these are theater related. So, on the subject of drama, this is very helpful, I think, to teaching drama at uni. And besides my elective module on kitchen sink and Angry Young Man, I'm teaching English Literature 6 at the university where I work, which is a module dedicated to drama, which can be very confusing because the students do go through like plays, right? The rest of what I mean is the rest of our curriculum is organized like through like a historiographical like logic. So English Literature 1 is Anglo-Saxon and medieval literature. Then you have Elizabethan and Jacobean theater, which is mostly theater anyway, right? Shakespeare, Johnson, Marlowe. Then you get English Literature 3, the rise of the novel, Romanticism, you know? So you go through the history of English literature and you get to English Literature 6 and it's drama. And it's like how British drama has evolved and contemporary British drama. So I have arrived at something that I think will be interesting, but I also think it's important for students to understand the difference between drama and theater, because sometimes people use these two words like they mean the same thing when they don't, and they're not properly studying theater at our course. Anyway, Shakespeare and Digital Pedagogy, both of these, Shakespeare and Social Justice as well, they are so cheap at Judd books, like Judd books and school books. There are bookshops, that are like within a stone's throw of each other. in Bloomsbury. And they're like probably some of my favorites. A lot of these books were bought at either one of them. These two were legit books. All the used John Osborne I bought at School Books. So yeah, great value for money, I suppose. So now we don't have many books left. I will pick up the Jane Austen stuff because I visited Jane Austen's house and there are a lot of great stuff. Jane Austen is turning to 150 this year, so there are a lot of celebrations around. I imagine the museum will be very busy, like at the warmer months. It was already quite busy the day that I went, but it's still winter, yes, so it will get busier and busier and busier. So, what do we have here? Let me show you. Now, leave this. So, this is a cute edition of Wuthering Heights with Emily on the cover. So, obviously, I have millions of editions of it, but I wanted this one with Emily, and it was like $3.99. Where did I buy this? I don't know where I bought this. Anyway. So, another Wuthering Heights edition. And then there's Sylvia Thousand Warner. I got 2 books by her. This one I read on the plane. Mr. Fortune's Maggot. This very short novel, or a novella, I guess. And I've recently fallen in love with Sylvia Thousand Warner through my creative writing teacher. She recommended a short story by her that it was included in this Persephone edition. And I just had to read more stuff by her. And so I got Mr. Fortune's Maggot, and I'm still reading the short stories. There are other collections. There's one by Faber, but I wanted the one by Persephone Books because that was the one. The story that I read had been taken from this. But I'll keep reading her. I'm so in love with this woman right now. So here we have Stevie Smith. I wanted to buy something of Stevie Smith's because I've been so deeply in love with her poetry, and I was very lucky to find, I think one of this was a Judd Books, the other one was Wherever, and one is a critical biography by Frances Spalding, and the other is a selection of her poems. One is Faber, the other is Penguin, but both bring gorgeous photographs of her on the cover. So these are my 2, like, soulmates at the moment. Stevie Smith and Sylvia Thousand Warner. Completely in love with them. And this leads us to Who Betrays Elizabeth Bennet. This is actually, it means not just one essay by John Sutherland, there are loads of them here. And I am working with this particular essay with my students. We are doing our own celebration of Jane Austen's birthday at Senhora Bennet here in Brazil. And we are reading this together throughout our read-along of Pride and Prejudice with this Brazilian edition of it. So, I'm going to pause very quickly to pick up the books that are in my living room that I forgot to bring here. Just a moment. Okay, so we're back, and let's wrap things up. So, what is this publisher? It's Macmillan, right? Yeah. So Macmillan's Collectors Library. Macmillan Collectors Library. Anyway, they're publishing these editions celebrating Jane Austen's anniversary. Well, birthday actually, right? As I said, she's turning 250 this year. And so you have these anniversary editions of each of her novels. So this is Emma, and this is, I'm not showing them in order. This is Sense and Sensibility. This is Persuasion. And I have doubles of some of them, as you will see here. And why is it? Because we are gifting some of these to the people who are taking part in our celebrations of Jane Austen's birthday or whatever. So we are gifting some of these to Acampamento Austen, which is, as I said, part of the Senhora Bennet thing here in Brazil. So this is Northanger Abbey, and you'll notice that there is no Mansfield Park either. So these are right for the for gifting, basically. So I was picking up loads of books at the shop, at the museum shop, and then I was bringing 2 of each, but I was going to walk all the way to the railway station on my way back, and I realized it was going to be too heavy, and I said maybe I shouldn't buy that many. Let's bring a few doubles, but not all of them. But I think I put Mansfield Park, both of them back instead of just one, and I ended up Mansfield Parkless. But I will manage to buy it. If I have to go to Amazon, so be it. But yeah, so I'm going to show you the Jane Austen year book. Maybe I'll record a different video to show you the contents of it, because this is already so long. But this is also very cool. I got this at a second-hand bookshop in where was it? Notting Hill, I think. This was like £4, and well, as you can see, this is Dickens. I don't think it's focusing where I want it to focus. Please focus. Oh, I think now it's working. But anyway, this is American Notes, Master Humphrey's Clock, and Life of Dickens by John Forster, which I'm currently translating. We published the first volume last month. Well, this month. We're still in February. I'm recording this in 28th February, but we'll probably be posting this early March. But I've just released my translation of the first volume, and I was very excited to find it. This is, I mean, there's a lot of books here for such a tiny one, but yeah, very exciting. And you have Dickens's signature here. So yeah, I was very happy to snatch this one. And the final one is the Jane Austen year, celebrating 250 years of Jane Austen. So this is like a publication by the Jane Austen House Museum in Chawton. And yeah, if you want to, and with Pitkin, right? If you want to, I can show you this in detail my next video. I realize I haven't been posting much, but I think it's best to have a balanced relationship with my online stuff and my real life stuff and my writing and everything that I do, instead of feeling that I have to post stuff every day all the time and not doing it and like giving up completely. So there's no rule that says that you need to be on here all the time, and nobody has the time to watch that much stuff anyway. So yeah. I've come to the conclusion recently. I've been writing a lot, which is great, and studying writing and, well, working a lot too, as you can see from what I said here. But yeah, let me know what you think if you want to see that, and we'll talk soon. If you're on other social media platforms, you can find me there as well. And I'm on Substack, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, and I have a website called readingwhilewalking.com where I review stuff, and you can find info about me and what I do. And I think that's it. Thank you for watching. I know this was a long one, but I'll see you again very soon. Let me know your thoughts. Bye-bye.